right. Hello, everyone. How is everybody today? Hope you are having a wonderful week. And hopefully, you all were joining us over on Whatnot just a little bit ago. You guys, if you haven't heard of our Whatnot channel, I think it's channel, we are over on there as well, doing lots of fun giveaways, and you guys can get some great products at some fun prices. I'll say fun prices. But thank you for coming over from there if that's where you were joining us from. Otherwise, thank you for joining us wherever you're joining us from. So I'm just getting some nails ready to go today. We're going to be doing some fundamentals with acrylic, and then I'm going to show you how to take those fundamentals and add them into your glitter applications and create some really fun glitter mixes. I'm going to show you guys that glitter mix in a second here. And I am just getting some nails ready to go here, and then we'll get started in just a second. This will give everybody a little chance to join in, get situated. You guys, if you're wanting to work along with me and create these nails along with me, the acrylics that I'm going to be using today is our traditional acrylic system. We're going to start with our Cover Pink acrylic. So we've got our Cover Pink, and then we're also going to be working with our Speed Clear when we get into the glitter applications. And I do have all of our glitters listed on our Discord server. So if you are joining us on there, if you follow us on Discord, make sure to check on there and you can see all of the different colors and things that I'm going to be working with. So check that out, and I'm going to pull my chat up here and see what you guys are chit-chatting about. All right, got that ready to go. Let's go ahead and prep our nails. So I'm just going to start by shortening these up. And when I do my extensions, when I sculpt on my nails, I always like to shorten up those natural nails quite a bit. So this way it's not going to interfere with my form fit. So I like to shorten those up, and I'm just using our Young Nails toenail clippers here. It works really well for shortening those up quick and easy. And then I'm just going to give the nails a quick shaping. Now, when I do the shaping at this point, I don't spend a ton of time on that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough so that there's a smooth edge and there's not that frayed edge or that cut edge. So just give it a quick little shape. Nothing fancy. We don't have to be perfect with that. And let's see. I'm not sure what, oh, you guys, somebody was saying that they subbed. You guys, thank you so much. If you do subscribe to our channel, we appreciate that very much. When you guys subscribe, that just allows us to give more free education. So the more of you that subscribe, the more education we can give. So we love when you do that. All right, so we've got our nails shortened up here. Let me put my tools away real quick. And then I'm going to start with my prep, and I'm going to push back my cuticles. So you always want to make sure that you're getting those cuticles pushed back. And even if you're just practicing your techniques on the trainer hand, always do that procedure. So go through that procedure of pushing back. I know there's really not any cuticle that we're actually pushing back on our trainer hand here, but going through that procedure just kind of keeps you in the routine of what you're going to do on a real client. Okay, so stick with that routine. Now, I have a carbide bit in my e-file here. We are absolutely not using a carbide bit on the natural nail. So make sure, do not use that carbide bit on the natural nail. That is way too coarse. What we're going to use instead on the natural nail is our medium grit sanding band. So I just put my mandrel in there. I'm going to change out my sanding band. That's an old one. That's the one that I use to file up our other nails here. So I am going to change to a brand new sanding band. Looks like it is time for me to restock. So we're going to grab a new sanding band, slide that right onto our mandrel, and we're going to use that to do our prep. Now, normally I don't prep the edge of my sanding bands, but I do want to show you guys just in case. I'm going to keep my speed on my e-file at about 5,000 RPMs. Our sanding bands do come pre-beveled, but if you are maybe feeling like you need a little bit of a softer edge, or maybe maybe you just feel like maybe your client's cuticles are a little bit more delicate, you can take your sanding band and just give it a quick tap. Let me show you from the angle here. Give it a quick tap on your file, just do a quick 1, 2, 3, and that'll soften that up even more. So if you're concerned about that sharper edge, you can definitely take that down. So when we are prepping our nails, I'm going to just start right up around the cuticle area, and I'm going to do short little strokes all the way through. I'm not trying to go all the way through in one motion. You don't need to. All I'm doing, like I said, just short strokes all the way through, and then I'm going to feather that bit across the nail. Now, as I'm working here, I'm going to slow this down so you guys can see. I'm not keeping that bit on the nail and just scrubbing that nail. I'm feathering. So what I mean by feathering is I come across the nail, pick up, across the nail, pick up, across the nail, pick up. And the reason that I do like that, rather than, like I was saying, scrubbing the nail is going to put pressure on the nail, and it is going to build up heat, and that's where you may feel a little of that burn, or your clients may feel that little burn. So you want to make sure that you're just gently feathering across the nail, lightly removing that shine, basically just breaking up the surface oils on that nail and kind of carefully removing any cuticle that might be stuck on that cuticle area. So that's all we really need to do to remove shine. It should not be a long process. It should be very quick. I would say probably about 3 to 5 minutes is what your prep really should take. Any longer than that and you're probably overdoing it, okay? We're going to just dust off these nails, and then I'm going to grab my swipe, and swipe is our cleanser. I'm going to pump a little bit of that onto my manicure brush, and then we'll go through and just give those nails a good scrub, and this is going to help to remove any last little bits of dust that may be stuck on the nail, and it's also going to help to remove any surface oils or any contaminants, any germs, any bacteria, anything like that. And it's going to give us a nice, clean, dry surface to apply our acrylic to. Now, before we actually get to our acrylic, we want to add one more product, and that's our protein bond. Now, we don't use a primer. Protein bond is a bonder, and it does not have any of that methacrylic acid that a lot of primers do. So it's a very gentle bonder. And after we apply this, you're going to notice that that protein bond does not dry back to that chalky look. So if we take a look at the nail that I've got protein bond on versus one that I don't have protein bond on, the one without the protein bond is going to look chalky and dry. The protein bond is going to stay sticky, and that's what's going to give the best adhesion when we apply our product to that sticky layer. So it's almost like kind of an anchor or a double-sided tape. It's going to stick down to that natural nail, but then it's going to leave that sticky surface to grab onto our product that we're going to apply. And when I'm working on acrylics or hard gels, I do tend to do 2 coats of my protein bond to make sure that I've got great even coverage all the way through the whole entire nail. And that way we're going to get the best adhesion. So 2 coats all the way through, and then we will get to our application. And you guys, as I'm brushing this on, notice that I start about halfway up the nail. I don't just start right at my cuticle area. I start about halfway down. That way I'm not going to flood that product up into that cuticle area. Like I said, it works like an anchor. So wherever you apply your protein bond, that's where it's going to want to pull your product to. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your protein bond away from that cuticle area. Okay? I'm going to grab my forms, and today we're going to be using just our traditional forms. Now, if you want to use the XL forms, if you want to create some longer nails, you can definitely do that with our XL forms. But today we're going to be creating more of, I would say, a medium to long coffin. We're not going to do XL or anything today, but we're going to take our form, take that little tab onto the center, stick that right on the back side. We're going to pinch our tabs together right there on those little silver areas. You can see those silver areas, pinch those together nice and even. I'm going to pinch together the end of my form. So now we've got more of that tapered shape. I'm going to open up that top perforation at the top there. And when you put your forms on, you want to start with that form at just a slight downward angle. So you're going to start it at a slight downward angle, bring that right up underneath the natural nail, and then you're going to rock up underneath. And this is going to bring that form straight out from that natural nail and flush up underneath that free edge, okay? This is why we did trim that free edge a little bit shorter. Let me show you guys from the front view now. So that when we do put our form on, we don't have excess free edge interfering with our form application. So now, again, our form is going to be nice and straight out. I actually think that needs to be straightened out just a little bit there. Okay, so nice and straight out from our nail. And let's go ahead and grab our acrylic, and I'm going to grab a few of my table towels, and these are just the same table towels that I've got on my whole table. I just cut them up into smaller pieces, so that way they're easier to use. I've got my monomer, my Dappen dish here, and I actually am going to clean out my Dappen dish. I've got a little bit of monomer in there from my last application. I always want to make sure that I'm starting with clean, fresh monomer every time, so that I'm not trying to use dirty monomer, or this one in particular, you can see there was a little bit of glitter in there, and maybe I didn't want that glitter in my next set of nails. So always make sure that you're starting with clean, fresh monomer every time. And notice also that I don't use my finger to clean that out. I use my magic wand here just to grab onto that table towel so that I can clean that out without touching that product to my skin and exposing my skin to the extra chemicals. All right, let's grab our monomer here, and I'm going to find my brush. Okay, so we are going to pour out some fresh monomer. And when I pour my monomer, I always use my brush as my guide. So I'm going to touch my brush to the bottle top, and we're going to pour right down into the Dappen dish, and my brush is going to keep that liquid from dribbling down the side and creating a mess. So just a quick and little extra easy tip there for you. All right, and we are going to be starting with our Cover Pink acrylic today. This is one of my favorite colors to use because it's going to give you just a really nice neutral background if you're going to be doing any nail art or anything like that, or even for gel polish. It's just a great background to apply. So we're going to start by picking up, you guys, let me readjust my camera here so you guys can see. I'm going to move my glitters out of the way here. Get those out of the, there we go. Okay, now you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to start by sculpting out our nail today, and I'm going to tap down my powder, make sure I've got a nice clean surface on my powder. I'm going to press my brush into my monomer, tap the back side of my brush. I'm going to turn my brush over, and I'm going to press and pull. So press and pull, and then I'm going to bounce, bounce, bounce to pick up my pearl. Okay. Now, as you're working, you're going to work in a couple of different consistencies. When we're working on our free edge on the form here, I want to make sure that my product is going to be easy to control. So let me show you something here on a form. So if I pick up my pearl, I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. If I were to just set that pearl right onto my form, do you see how quickly that pearl just softens and runs? I'm going to have to chase that product and try to control that as it's running and moving. You guys, right now that product is completely out of control. And see how it's starting to stick to my brush? That's how your brush is going to get gunked up. So you want to make sure that you're not working in that consistency, and I'm going to clean out my brush here to make sure that none of that product is going to stick in my brush, okay? What we're going to do instead, so instead of just setting that pearl right down onto our nail, we're going to pick up that same pearl, we're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to let the powder absorb into that liquid. Once all of that powder has absorbed, I'm going to drain out the extra liquid. I'm going to count to about 4, okay? Let me show you guys that one more time so you really understand what I'm saying. So again, we're going to tap the back side of our brush. We're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to let that powder absorb. Once it's absorbed, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4, that pearl's going to look a little bit more matte. And then when I set that down onto my form, you're going to notice that that pearl is going to soften a little bit, but notice it's not running out of control like that first one. With this one, I'll be able to press that and mold that into shape without losing control of it. So by just draining out that little bit of extra liquid, that's going to bring your product a little bit more to a clay-like form, and it's going to be easier to work with on your free edge. So let me go ahead and apply that to the free edge. And same thing, we're going to press our brush into the Dappen dish. I'm going to tap the back side of my brush, turn my brush over, use the front side. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. Let that powder absorb. Drain out the liquid. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set that onto my form, press that down, wipe out my brush. I'm going to use the body of the brush to press that product from side to side. Use the edge of my brush to tuck in and then press up into those corners, tuck in on the side, and then I'm going to walk my brush all the way across, pressing all the way across. This side did run just a little bit, but that's okay. It's not out of control. Same thing, tuck in on the side, walk that product into the corner, tuck in on the side of our brush, and now I'm just going to go through pressing that product all the way from side to side, making sure that it's even thickness all the way across the nail. And we're going to taper this just a little bit. So I think I'm actually going to pinch my form a little bit tighter at the end, and we're going to taper this in a little bit more to a coffin shape. But again, notice how I press across the nail, press, press, press across the nail as I go to make sure that I've got even thickness all the way through that free edge. Tapering it in towards the end. Let me turn that a little bit so you guys can see. Tapering it in, just kind of putting a little bit more pressure right through here to make sure that my free edge, that point of the nail or the end of the nail, is a little bit more tapered and a little bit more coffin shaped. Okay, now if I still have time to move my product, I can turn my brush on the side and just kind of touch up that free edge a little bit. But if you don't get that free edge perfectly shaped, that's okay. Don't panic about it. That's probably the easiest point to file, okay? So make sure that you're spending the time perfecting your sidewalls so that you have a nice straight lower arch right through here. You don't have a lot of product hanging down or anything like that. So make sure you've got nice straight sidewalls here. Make sure your product is even all the way from one side to the other, okay? Now, for this first pearl, we picked up that pearl and we drained out that extra liquid. Now, when we go to do the rest of the body of the nail, we're actually going to want the product to run and flow a little bit more. So this one, we're not going to drain out any of the liquid, okay? So let me show you what I mean by that. So for this pearl, same thing, we're going to press the back side of our brush. We're going to turn our brush over. Actually, guys, let me tap that down. I always like to tap down that powder to make sure that I've got a nice even surface to pick up. Okay, so we're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. Now this one, this is going to go right at our cuticle area, but again, I'm not going to set that down immediately, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys another thing here, something to watch for. So if you're new to doing nails or if you're not 100% comfortable using your acrylic, I want you to take a close look here. Do you see how that pearl looks a little bit more textured and a little bit more like an orange peel? To start with, it has that texture, but after a few seconds, it's going to melt out and it's going to look a little bit more like a pearl. And that's the point where we're going to set that down onto the nail. Okay, so let me show you guys that one more time. Okay, same thing. We're going to press, bounce, bounce. Orange peel texture, 1, 2, 3, 4, almost to 5, and you've got that pearl. So once it looks more like a pearl, that's when you're going to set it down onto the nail. Now, take a look at the angle that I've got here. I don't have that nail flat. I'm not putting my product on with my brush flat and that nail flat. I actually will angle that finger down, so this way when I put my pearl on, my brush is going to be able to press out that cuticle area, and I'm going to get that cuticle area nice and thin and tapered, okay? Then, having the nail angled down, that product is going to flow down the length of the nail, rather than if you had the nail flat, gravity would pull that product down to the sides, and then you would have too much product down on the sides, and it's going to make a mess, and the product is going to touch the skin, which we don't want. So we want to make sure, again, that we're angling that finger downward. I'm going to clean my table towel off here. I'm going to get a new one, so I have a nice clean spot to wipe my brush. So same thing, we're going to press our brush into the liquid, tap the back side, turn my brush over. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like a pearl. I'm going to set that pearl at the cuticle area, a little bit of pressure. I'm going to use the point of my brush to press around. I pivot my brush at the sides. Same thing over here. Pivot my brush on the side. And notice how that product is just flowing down the nail. There was a little air bubble there. At this point, I'm going to pivot my brush. So turn my brush on the side. I'm going to blend out the side. Same thing over here. Turn my brush, blend out the side, and then just gently blend out the edge of that pearl. And this is going to help to, first of all, by turning your brush on the side, that's going to help to taper in your sides nice and tight so you don't have a lot of bulk on the sides. And then I'm just blending out the edge of that pearl. And what that's going to do, that's going to leave my cuticle area nice and thin. I'm going to have a little bit more thickness right here through my stress area. I don't need a lot of thickness, and you guys, we are going to file these nails, so don't worry if it's not 100% perfect, but we want just a little bit of thickness right through our stress area here. We've got a little bit of a low spot right in here, so now we're going to pick up another pearl, so one more, and we're going to fill in that space. So our second pearl is going to be kind of a combination of the first one that we drained out the extra liquid and the second one where we let it flow. With this one, I'm just going to take that pearl, tap that onto my table towel, release a little bit of that liquid. I'm going to turn my brush around. I'm going to press that pearl down, pivot my brush on the sides, and I'm going to blend that pearl back up into the stress area. Clean out my brush, and then I can come back through, turn my brush back around, and then pressing that out from side to side, pressing that out from side to side, and then I can blend that product forward. Now, if I need to have a little bit more thickness in my stress area, I can turn my brush back around and I can blend that backwards. So whichever direction you need to pull product, that's the direction you're going to blend. Okay? I can do a little bit of pressing, a little bit of smoothing, and then I'll just smooth over the whole nail, make sure everything is nice and even all the way from side to side. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to do this one, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this for you so you can see it one more time, because there's a lot of little details. When you're working with acrylic, there's a lot of little details that it's hard to catch in just one application. So let me get our form on here. Let me open up that top perforation real quick, and I'm going to show you that same application one more time so you can see it a little bit in kind of a quicker motion. So again, we're going to press our brush into our liquid, tap the back side out. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. This pearl, we're going to drain out 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring that to clay form. Press that down at my free edge, wipe out my brush. I'm going to press my product so it's even from side to side. Clean out my brush, use the edge of my brush to tuck in on the sides, walk that up to the corner. Tuck in on the sides, walk that up to the corner, in on the side, and then I'm going to come all the way back across, bring that little bit that flowed down there. You guys, my space is a little bit cooler today, so my product is flowing a little bit more than when my temperature is a little bit warmer. So keep that in mind as you're working. In cooler temperatures, your product is going to flow more. In warmer temperatures, it's going to set up a little bit faster. So if you are in a cooler environment, you've got a little more time to work. If you're in a warmer environment, you've got less time to work. So just keep those things in mind as you are applying your product to the nails. Okay, same thing. I'm just tucking in on those sides, tucking in on the sides, getting that nice straight lower arch down there, bringing that product a little bit more tapered to the end. I'm going to turn my brush on the side, and then I can clean up and square off that free edge if I need to. But again, that's the last thing that I'm concerned about, because that free edge, that straight across, is what you can file with either your electric file or your hand file, and that's going to be much easier to file rather than the rest of the shape of the nail. So don't worry too much about that last little shaping. Okay. Now, we're going to work by our cuticle area. So for this pearl, we're going to pick that up. We're going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. This one, we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set that right at my cuticle area, the fingers pointed downward. I'm going to press with the point of my brush around the cuticles, press around the cuticles, letting that product flow down the length of the nail. I'm going to clean out my brush. I'm going to turn my brush on the side and I'm going to blend out that edge. Same thing over on the other side. Blend out the edge and just gently blend out just the edge of that pearl, bringing that down the length of the nail. Again, tapering in those sides and pulling that down the length of the nail. Okay, now again, we still have a little bit of a low spot right through here, and we're going to pick up one more small pearl. We're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce. I'm going to just dab that extra liquid off, turn my brush around, set that down right in the low spot, blend back. Pivot my brush on the side, blend back. I'm going to wipe my brush out to make sure it's nice and clean. Pivot my brush on the side, blend back, and then I'm going to come through, pressing out the rest of that bulk, bringing that down to the end of my enhancement. Pressing that to make sure that everything is nice and even from side to side. And I think I need a little bit more thickness back here and a little bit thinner here. So I'm going to turn my brush around. I'm going to blend backwards, pulling that product back up towards my stress area, thinning out and tapering in that free edge. Okay. All right, so we've got our second nail done. Now you guys, I am going to show you a glitter application, but we're going to start with kind of the skeleton of the nail. So I'm going to show you similar techniques as to what I did on these first two nails, but now we're going to actually switch to our speed clear. So when I'm doing glitter designs and things like that, I actually like to use my speed clear for kind of, like I said, kind of the skeleton of the nail. So we're going to do the same thing. We've already got our nail prepped. We're going to apply our form here. And you guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button for our channel here. And if you do feel like you want to see a little bit more in depth on how to apply forms or really any other techniques, we do have over 3,000 different videos here on our channel. So you guys have all kinds of free education. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our speed clear for this nail. Now, when I'm doing my glitter applications, I do like to build out my free edge and kind of the body of the nail with the clear, and that's going to give me a little bit more of kind of just a platform to work on. Sorry you guys, I just wanted to straighten out my form there a little bit. So for my speed clear, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up that pearl, we're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to drain out that extra liquid. Now, you guys, I want to make sure that you do understand speed products. So anything that says speed clear, that's going to be our faster setting product. The cover pink that we were using on the other nails here, this is more of a medium set. So you've got a little bit more time to work with this one than you do with the speed clear. So speed clear, I am going to work a little bit quicker. But we're going to be doing the same techniques as on our first nails. Okay, so we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to drain out the liquid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set that down. I'm going to wipe out my brush. I'm going to press that out from side to side. Tuck in on the edges. Bring that up into the corner. Tuck in on the edges. Walk all the way across. Tuck in on the side. Bring that up into the corner. So again, you guys, the same exact thing that I was doing with the cover pink, I'm now just doing with my speed clear. Now with this nail, I do want to make sure that I'm making this platform very, very thin. So this one, I don't want to build up any bulk at all. All I'm trying to do is create a platform to apply my glitter to, and that way we're going to have a really nice solid glitter free edge. Okay, so nice and thin, nice and tapered. I'm going to blend that all the way down, all the way through that free edge, tucking in on the sides, tucking in on the sides. And last but not least, if I still have time to work with my product, I'll turn my brush on the side and straighten out that free edge. Okay. Okay, and you guys, we are going to be doing a glitter application. So when I do my glitter applications, if I'm going to be putting any kind of a glitter acrylic up over that natural nail, I always like to create a little bit of a barrier. So what I'm going to do, let me come in here, I'm going to pick up a very, very small pearl of my clear. So I'm not trying to build up any structure, just a very small, very wet pearl, okay? And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to apply that just through that nail body area. And what this is going to do, this is actually going to protect that natural nail. So when I do apply my glitter, I'm not going to have that glitter all the way down onto the natural nail. And this is going to help when I change out my designs. So again, you guys, you can see I'm just kind of feathering that product all the way through. There's not a lot of product on there right now, okay? Just a little bit to act as a barrier. So when I do change out my designs, if I decide that maybe I want to take this color off after Halloween and I want to do something else, maybe I want to go to a pink and white, something like that, I'm going to file my product down, but I'm going to still have that little layer of clear underneath, and that is going to be a barrier so that I don't file down into that natural nail and cause damage. Okay. Okay, so at this point, you guys, I'm going to show you how to mix our glitter, but we do have a very thin, almost a skeleton of a nail here. We don't have a lot of thickness to this nail. We don't have a whole lot going on. So I'm going to let this set up just a little bit while we mix our glitter. Now, anybody, you guys, let me know in the chat. Have you mixed glitter before? Do you enjoy mixing glitter? And if so, what's your favorite glitter to mix? I want to know. So I'm going to set our trainer hand off to the side, and I'm going to grab a bunch of glitters here, you guys. I'm going to use a whole bunch of different glitters. You can use, kind of pick and choose which ones you want and go from there, but we are going to make a really fun glitter mix here. So I've got a couple of different things. This is the glitter that I mixed to use on the nails here, and this is just what I have left there. You can mix, if you're just wanting to mix a small amount, you can mix glitter in your Dappen dish and just use it there. Or if you're wanting to mix a whole lot of it, maybe for the season, you guys, if you have a lot of clients that you think are going to want this color mix, you could mix a whole entire container of that and save that and use that on all of your clients. So we've got the quarter, I think that's a 1/4 ounce, and then we have the 1 ounce jars. So you can pick and choose which one you like, okay? If you're wanting to mix a whole lot, you can mix a whole lot. If you want just a little, then I would say mix in your Dappen dish. I did have another Dappen dish here, but I seem to have misplaced that. So let me grab another one here. Okay, when you're mixing glitters, I'm going to tell you guys a good ratio to follow is 3 to 1. So what I mean by that is 3 parts acrylic to 1 part glitter. Now, I'm going to start in my Dappen dish. I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3 parts of acrylic. Now you guys, that's not really going to be a whole lot. That's not going to be enough for me to create a full set. So I'm actually going to do 3 more scoops. So 1, 2, 3. Now at this point, that's going to be a little bit more product, and I think I'm going to be okay with that. But just to be on the safe side, let's do 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. At this point, we've added in 3 sets of 3. I hope you guys are following me. Let me know if you're following me here. But because we did 3 sets of 3, we can now do 3 full scoops of glitter because it's a 3 to 1 ratio. So 3 parts acrylic to 1 part glitter. Now here's the trick, you guys. I'm going to be using all of these different glitters here, so I'm not necessarily going to be counting perfect and measuring perfect, but it's okay. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to walk you through. So I'm going to open up a few different glitters to start with. And when I'm doing my glitter mixes, I usually like to start with my finer glitters first, and that's going to be more of my base color. So I've got a whole bunch of different purples here. So we're going to start with our purples, and we're going to start with maybe a little, maybe a 1/4 scoop of each. And we'll see how that goes. Now you guys, I do tell you that the proper mixture is 3 to 1. Now, like I said, I'm not going to be exactly measuring perfectly, and that's okay. Because we're going to check our consistency of our glitter at the end. We're going to see if I need to add more acrylic, more glitter, however I want to do that. I'm going to check and see. So don't worry if you're not measuring exactly, but I just want to make sure you guys understand. It's approximately 3 to 1, so 3 parts glitter to 1 part acrylic, okay? And you can check as you go. So I'm going to take my brush here. Let's grab a little bit. take a little bit of that acrylic and see where we're at. So right now I've got pretty good coverage. So I've got pretty good coverage with that glitter in there, and that's why I do start with those finer glitters. That's going to give me the really good coverage. Now I think I do maybe want just a little bit more of that really fine glitter. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of that one just to make sure that I've got that really good coverage. Maybe just a little bit more. And you guys, this is where it gets really fun to mix your glitters and to customize your nails, because it's almost like you're playing mad scientist here. You can just see how things, how they come together, how those colors come together. Okay. And I do like how this one's looking a little bit more. I feel like the color's a little bit richer. It's a little bit more solid. So we're going to stick with that. Now, I'm going to add in some of my accent colors. So I'm going to set those glitters off to the side here. And we're going to bring in our accent glitters. Now, my accent glitters are going to be, you guys, I'm sorry, I usually will tell you guys all of the different colors that I used, and I forgot to do that on this round. So let me put the caps back on, and then I will tell you what colors we used here, because I know you want to know, because they are so pretty, and I know you're going to want them. And you guys, everything that I do have here today is Young Nails. Everything that I'm working with is Young Nails, and you can find it on our website, youngnails.com. So the glitters we've got are Soon Forget. That's kind of that holographic one. We've got Bejeezeus, which is probably one of my favorite purples. It's that really sparkly purple. And then we've got Baby Zombie, perfect for Halloween. That's that finer purple. And then we also have Camera Off, and that is a little bit of a darker purple. Okay, so those are the colors that I started with to get my base color here. Okay, now the accents that I'm going to add in, we're going to add in black, and this one is called Kettle Bell. So this one, we're going to add a little scoop of Kettle Bell. Add that in. And for a little bit of brightness, we've got Awesome Sauce. And you guys, this is a perfect pumpkin orange. Like for those jack-o'-lanterns. Do you love it? I love this color. It is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to add a good amount of Awesome Sauce. And then just for a little bit of texture, you guys, these are more of a rectangular glitter. So I love this one for just really adding accents, honestly, to a lot of my different designs. And this one is called Hope Scream City. And you'll see this one is another hologram, and this one is going to add a lot of color reflection. So a lot of different light reflection. Actually, let me close that up really well so I don't spill. And then just for a little bit of fun, this one is Bat Out of Hell. And this one is our diamond shapes. So diamond shape purple hologram. Absolutely love these. Now you guys, this one looks, it's a little bit staticky. So sometimes those little pieces will stick together. Don't worry about that. They will release from each other once they're in your acrylic mix. But they do get a little staticky in the jar from time to time. So again, that was Bat Out of Hell. And let me close these up, and then we'll give this a quick stir. We'll check it. We'll see what we want to add. If we want to add anything, if we don't want to add anything, we can just go right into our nail. And I think I can see already, I feel like I need a little bit more of some of those chunkier glitters, some of those bigger glitters, just for a little bit more texture. But let's see what it's going to look like so far. And let's see, somebody's asking who's writing. You guys, we have some great moderators here that are texting you guys and answering your questions in the chat. I am not answering those questions in the chat. I am not that talented to have my hands in camera and also texting. So we have a great team of moderators. All right, you guys, I think I'm kind of liking that, but I do think I want just a little bit more of that black in there. I'm going to make it just a little bit darker, little bit spookier, and maybe a little bit more of the Awesome Sauce, and brighten that up just a little bit, give a little more texture. And what the heck, as long as we're at it, a little bit more of that Hope Scream City, just for a little more reflection. So you guys, this is the fun part about doing your glitter mixes, is you can completely customize them. You can make them exactly what you want. You can make them your own and make them how you want them. And I think we're going to be good there, just kind of breaking up some of those diamond shapes in there. All right, let's check this one more time. And I'm also checking the consistency. You guys, you can see how that product still forms an acrylic pearl. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want the product so chunky to where you only have glitter. But, oh, you guys, I love this one. I love how that mix came out. And honestly, I don't even think camera does this justice, how fun this is and how those little pieces of that awesome sauce, those just absolutely glow. Somebody in the chat says, Boo-Tastic. You know what? Maybe that's what we'll call our glitter mix today. We'll call it Boo-Tastic. I like that. That's kind of fun. So we're going to take our Boo-Tastic and we'll go ahead and get our nail going again. Now, you guys, if you are just joining us, you guys, first of all, make sure to hit the subscribe button. But if you're just joining us, we've already sculpted out a very, very thin layer of our Speed Clear from cuticle to free edge. And this product has had a chance to set up. So I'm going to pinch my form and I'm going to remove my form. So this way I can really see exactly where I'm applying my glitter. I'm going to grab a few more of my table towels here. And set my glitters off to the side. Let me grab my monomer again. So we've got our monomer, we've got our glitter acrylic mixture. Now, on this nail, I have a glitter fade. So I'm going to show you two different styles. We've got a glitter fade where it starts at our cuticle and just kind of fades out towards the end, kind of a fun, spooky little design. But then I'm going to show you, I'm going to continue on this nail and I'm going to show you how to do a full coverage design, okay? So two different options here and just depending on what look you're going for. So if you're going for that more of the glitter fade, we're going to start by pressing out the back side of our brush. I'm going to press and pull. Oops, you guys hang on a second. I left a little too much monomer into my liquid. So don't worry if you do drop a pearl in there. Don't worry, just pop it back out. Don't try to chase it around with your brush because you're just going to waste more of your glitter mix and your brush is going to pick up more of that glitter mix. So just don't worry about it. Not a big deal. It happens from time to time. Somebody's asking, do you sell press-ons? Yes, we actually do sell press-ons. Make sure to check out our website. You guys, we have all kinds of different nail products and design things. We've got glitters, we've got all kinds of different fun stuff for nails. So make sure to check out our website, youngnails.com. But let's go ahead and pick up our pearl. So I'm going to tap a little bit of extra liquid out of my brush. I don't want it quite so wet. There we go. So I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to just let this one kind of soften. So just like we did on those other nails, right by our cuticle area, we're going to give that product just a little bit of time to start to polymerize, and then we'll set that onto the nail. Okay, so again, we're going to press and pull, bounce, 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 let everything absorb for a couple of seconds, turn my brush around. I'm going to set that right at my cuticle area. And again, you guys, I'm going to kind of play with this product a little bit more. Sometimes when you've got that glitter in there, sometimes you do have to kind of move it around just a little bit more and get that product right where you want it. But same thing, pressing out around my cuticle area, pulling down to those edges, tucking in on those edges, same thing over here. Now I'm going to wipe my brush out. And just like we did on our first nails, I'm going to kind of press that out. I actually don't need a lot of that product in my stress area. Right now we're creating a very thin application, but I'm just going to pull right from the edge and just start to blend out that edge. And this is how you're going to get that really fun fade. Okay, so if you want to create more of that faded look, you can do that. If maybe your product started to set up and you weren't able to pull that and fade that out really well, go ahead and pick up just another small pearl. So I'm going to wipe out a good amount of the liquid from my brush. I'm going to pick up just a tiny, tiny little pearl. You can barely see it there. I'm going to set that right down where I want that to fade out. I'm going to tap that from side to side, and then I can just gently pull and fade that out. So if you weren't able to get that full fade with that first pearl, you can press that out and you can pull that and fade that out. All right, you guys, we've got our fade. Now, what if you want to do a full cover nail? You're going to do that same exact application, but once you get to this point, then you can go back in and you can pick up, again, I like to tap down, and I kind of give that a little bit more of a mix every so often just to make sure that those larger chunks of glitter aren't coming up to the surface, okay? All right, same thing, we're going to tap the back side of our brush and we'll pick up another pearl. This one I'm going to just drain a little bit. And you guys, I think I had a little bit too much of those chunky pieces in that one. I don't think I wanted quite so many of those chunky ones. So I'm going to grab another pearl just to check and see here. All right, so again, just another small pearl. Drain out a little bit of that, drain a little of that excess. Turn my brush around, set that down. I'm going to press this one out from side to side, making sure I've got good coverage all the way through. I'm going to wipe out my brush there. It felt like my product was sticking to my brush, so I want to make sure to wipe that out. And I'm going to press and pull all the way down to the free edge. So this is going to give you that full cover look, okay? Now, either way, whether you're doing that fade out or you're doing the full cover look like this, we do need to cap this nail. So this nail it's still fairly thin. You can see there's not a lot of structure there. But if we were to just leave this nail like it is and go to file that, we're going to file all of our glitter off. So we want to make sure that we do file on, or sorry, not file. We want to cap the rest of our glitter on the nail. So we're going to go back to our Speed Clear. And now that same overlay that we did on those nails originally, now we're going to just do that same thing over our glitter. We're going to make it just a little bit thinner than the application here to make sure that we don't build up too much thickness and too much bulk. But we're going to go in, we're going to press our brush into our liquid, tap the back side. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, maybe to 4. I'm going to set that right down at my cuticle area, pressing that out from side to side, just like we did on our first nails. I'm going to pivot my brush on the side, blend out the edge of that pearl, and just capping that whole nail all the way through. Okay, again, we are going to add another pearl right through here to make sure that we seal in that whole free edge. Again, press and pull, bounce, bounce. This one I'm going to drain out just a little bit, turn my brush around, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. I'm going to wipe out my brush, and again, I'm going to come around, pressing that product all the way down to my free edge, capping that whole entire nail, making sure all of our glitter is sealed in, all the way on the sides. And then again, if I need to pull any product back up to my stress area, I can blend backwards. And that is going to give us that nice contour. So again, we're going to have a nice thin cuticle area. We're going to have a little bit more thickness right in the stress area. And then again, a little bit thinner in the free edge. Somebody's asking, can I tell you guys the temperature in my room? I don't know exactly what the temperature in my room right now is, but I will tell you the ideal temperature to work with your acrylic is going to be between 70 and 75, okay? If it's a little bit cooler than that, it's going to run a little bit and it's going to flow a little bit more. It's going to take a little bit longer to set up. If it's warmer than that, it's going to take less time to set up, so you're going to have to work a little bit quicker, okay? So do keep in mind the temperature of your room. Now, you guys, I'm just cleaning out my brush here really quick, just kind of rinsing it in my monomer, wiping that out, rolling it back to a point to make sure that I don't have any product still stuck in my brush. And then I can set my brush off to the side, and we're ready to finish our nails. Now, I know you guys don't want to sit here and watch me file a nail, but if you do want to see the filing techniques, you can definitely subscribe to our channel. We have over 3,000 different videos here on our channel to show you guys all of those different techniques on how to file, how to prep the nails, and anything else in between. Now, through the magic of the internet, I do have some nails that I already have finished, so we are going to swap these out real quick. And I'm going to show you kind of how I would maybe finish off this set. So again, we're just going to swap these out with some nails. The same techniques that I did on what I just showed you is what I did on these nails. So these are just all filed out and ready to go. So again, we've got our nail that was faded out. We've got our full cover. On our other two solid colored nails here, you guys, I'm going to just show you a really quick gel polish application so that you can see a couple of different options on how to finish your nails. So we've gone through and filed these out. I finished these so far with a 150 grit file. We're going to use our swipe again, pump a little bit of that onto my brush. We're going to dust those nails off. We're going to cleanse those really well. Oh, you guys, one thing before I get into our protein bond, I want to give you guys the option. So I've got two different colors here that I couldn't decide between. So we've got Bromance and we've got Plum. Now you guys, I want you guys to vote, okay? You guys got to let me know in the chat. Do we want Bromance? And let me put a little dollop on our tile here. So these are both purples. But Bromance it's a little bit lighter. I don't know if you can even see that. A little bit lighter, and it's got a little bit of a pearl look to it. So we've got a little bit of that pearl look. Or do you guys want Plum, which is a very deep, dark purple? So you guys, you got to let me know. Do you want the more sheer with a pearl, or do you want darker with, I think I'm gonna do matte, but we'll discuss that in a second here. But again, we've got Bromance is the first one and Plum is the second one. So you guys, you let me know in the chat which one you want. All right, I'm seeing Bromance, both. I mean, you know what? Crystal Glitterbug, maybe we will do both. I'll show you both. I like that idea. All right, so you guys vote. Let me know. Plum, Bromance. Oh, you guys, I don't know. Now all right, moderators, you're going to have to keep track for me here. You got to let me know which one wins out. But in the meantime, while you guys are voting, I'm going to apply a coat of our protein bond all the way through the nail. And just like we did when we were prepping the nails, this is going to help to give a little bit better adhesion when we do our gel polish. Okay, so it's just going to, again, work like an anchor to hold that gel polish on. Okay. All right, you guys, some of you are saying both, and you know what? I think I'm liking that idea. So I think what we're going to do, all right, I think I've got an idea here. We're going to do, okay, so we'll do Bromance, the one with the pearl. We're going to do that with a shiny top coat. So we're going to use our Ultimate Finish top coat on that. With Plum, that darker one, I'm going to use our matte non-tack top coat on that one. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So when we are working with our gel polishes, again, these are our Manicure color. These are technically a 3-step gel polish. So they have a base coat, the color, and then the top coat. But we're not going to be using our base coat when we're working over the enhancements. We don't need that extra base coat, okay? So we're going to start, we'll grab Bromance, and we'll go ahead and just brush on a nice thin even coat. Now, especially when I'm working on longer nails, you'll see me start about halfway up the nail. And the reason that I like to do this is because this way I can make sure to really cap my edges. And then I also cap that free edge. Do you see how that free edge is? It's the naked little free edge. It needs some color on it. So I'm going to just brush right through there. But what happens, I think you can see this on camera. Do you see how we get a little bit more thickness right at that edge? When I brush down this way, it tends to kind of puddle up on the top. So then, this is why I start on the free edge, because now I can work back towards my cuticle area and get that cuticle nice and tight, and then I can pull my brush all the way through, and that is going to smooth out that little puddle around that free edge. So this way I don't have that extra bulk, and my nails are going to stay nice and thin and tapered at that free edge. Okay. Now I do have just a tiny little product on the side, so I'm going to grab my my Polish Perfector brush. I'm just going to use that to just clean up right around the edge. And then our second nail, that one is going to be Plum. So we're going to do the same technique. Again, I brush from about halfway up. Oh, you guys, I love this color. This is definitely a good Halloween purple. Same thing, do that free edge. We're going to come right back to our cuticle area. And notice that I kind of press my brush down so it fans it out a little bit. And then I do just a little bit of a wiggle. You know, you guys, I know sometimes I get shaky, but up by my cuticle area here, I'm intentionally being a little shaky so I can wiggle that brush right up to that cuticle area. All right, let's go ahead and pop these into the light. Now, I do want to make sure that this goes into the light for a full 30-second cure, okay? When you're working with the gel polish, you do want to make sure that it does cure. But with these colors, they will cure enough to move on to our second coat with a 30-second cure. But then when we do our second coat, they're going to continue to cure. So that second coat is going to give them another 30 seconds. So that is going to be a full 60-second cure on those. And somebody's asking, do acrylics not need to be cured? No, you guys, if you're working with acrylic, acrylic will set on its own. It does have the chemistry where it does not need a UV light to cure it. If you're working with gels, if you're sculpting with gels or gel polishes, that you will need a light to cure. But acrylic does harden up on its own. Okay. Now, you guys, I'm going to tell you a little secret here. I guess not really a secret, but one of my little tricks. I only cap the free edge one time. So notice that when I polished out this nail, I didn't go through and cap that free edge again. The reason for that is I feel like sometimes when you cap it a second time, it gets a little bit bulky and then it loses a little bit of that straight edge. So I like to just cap it one time just for that look. Whoops, got to clean that up right away. So I do just cap that one time to make sure that I have that nice clean finished look at the end, but I don't cap it twice to where it's going to look bulky and things like that. So that's just one of my little tricks here. You do what works for you if you want to cap that free edge twice, but I personally just do it once. Okay, so we've got our second coat on. Again, we're going to go back into the light for another 30 seconds. Yeah, you guys, which one are you liking better? Are you liking the Bromance with the pearl, or do you like the darker Plum? Let me know in the chat. Which one is your favorite? I love to see. Love to see. Okay, so again, we are going to finish these nails, and you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button before we finish, and then we can start our top coat chant in the chat. Those of you that know what that means, go ahead and start your top coat chant. If you are new to our channel, our top coat chant is just a fun way of finishing our nails here, and you can just type in top coat, top coat, top coat into the chat. Now, we are going to top coat these three because this one was just filed, and that one I actually did not put Protein Bond on yet, so I'm going to put a coat of Protein Bond on that one. And then we'll top coat this one with our shiny top coat. And same thing with this one. We're going to do our shiny top coat, and then we're going to do the matte top coat on the Plum nail. And you guys, when you're doing glitter applications like this, I do like to kind of mix it up and add in that matte top coat on, you know, a solid color nail, because I feel like it just really accents the glitter in those dimensional nails. So for my top coats, I am using our Ultimate Finish. And this one is probably one of my favorites at this point, because when this one is fully cured, oh my gosh, you guys, look at that shine. When this one is fully cured, it does come out of the light with a tack-free finish. So you don't have to worry about cleansing anything off of that nail. You don't have to wipe it or anything like that. It is fully cured when it comes out of the light. So we're going to do that Ultimate Finish shiny top coat on our two nails here. And just a quick little cap at our free edge. And you guys, it is looking a little bit bulky. I may go through and do a quick little file at the end of that. We'll see how that goes. But then I am going to use my matte non-tack top coat on our dark nail here, just to add a little bit of spookiness to it. And let's go ahead and cap that edge there too. Same thing as with the Ultimate Finish, the matte non-tack top coat does also set and cure with no tack. So you don't have to cleanse this one off either. So making sure we got that whole nail capped. And we'll go ahead and pop that into the light. Now, both of these top coats do need a full 60-second cure. So I am going to actually cure them all the way through. Now, a lot of times when I do our final top coat here on the live stream, I'll only freeze that in the light for about 30 seconds so that you guys can see the final look. But with these, with the matte non-tack top coat, you're gonna get the matte finish when it is fully cured. So I don't want to take that out of the light too soon because I want you guys to be able to see the full effect of that matte finish. But as we're waiting, one last thing that you want to do to finish your client's nails is always to use the cuticle oil to rehydrate everything. When we go through and we use our swipe, so when we used our swipe and we cleanse those nails like that, you do dry out that cuticle area. So you always want to make sure that you go back through and rehydrate with the cuticle oil. So the cuticle oil pen is quick and easy to use. You can just drop a little bit of that onto each cuticle, get everything nice and rehydrated, massage that in, and your client is going to be good to go. Now, I don't always do that on the trainer hand because, well, she doesn't have any cuticles to worry about. But that is going to be our spooky Halloween glitter mix. And I think I am going to go through just one quick time right around my free edge here. You guys can kind of see how adding that little bit of top coat at the end just kind of gave it a little bit of bulk. If you do feel like you want to straighten that out a little bit, just grab your file and you can go through that just gently to kind of straighten that back out again. But you guys, let me know in the chat. Do you like the matte finish better or do you like that shiny finish better? Let me know. All right. Otherwise, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today for our demonstration. Thank you for joining us for our fun glitter mix. Hope you enjoyed the designs, and I hope that you guys will try out this glitter mix on your own and do that for your clients this Halloween. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you guys back next